Have you ever opened your bank account expecting your Social Security payment to be there, only to notice something looked different? Maybe the deposit came earlier than expected. Maybe it arrived later. Or maybe the amount wasn't exactly what you thought it would be. Those small changes can be unsettling, especially when every dollar in your monthly budget already has a purpose before it even reaches your account. That's exactly why today's update is so important. Over the last several weeks, thousands of Americans receiving supplemental security income, Social Security disability insurance, and veterans benefits have been asking similar questions. Why did my payment schedule look different? Is there a new Social Security rule? Should I be worried if my payment changes? And perhaps the most concerning question of all, how do I know whether a message claiming to be from Social Security or the Department of Veterans Affairs is actually legitimate? Today, we're going to answer every one of those questions in simple language. We'll explain exactly how the SSI payment schedule works, what recent processing changes mean for some beneficiaries, what SSDI recipients should know about adjustments to their accounts, and why veterans across the country are being warned about a sophisticated scam that has already fooled many people. Most importantly, we'll talk about the practical steps you can take to protect both your benefits and your personal information. Because here's the truth. Most payment issues are completely routine. Most schedule changes have perfectly reasonable explanations. But scammers know something that many people don't. Whenever government agencies update procedures, adjust schedules, or send out notices, confusion naturally follows. And wherever confusion exists, criminals see opportunity. That's why understanding what's happening today could save you not only unnecessary stress, but potentially thousands of dollars. Before we begin, let me ask you something. How many times have you checked your bank account on the morning your benefit payment was supposed to arrive? Maybe you've refreshed your banking app several times. Maybe you've waited until midnight hoping the deposit would appear. Maybe you've called your bank before realizing the payment simply hadn't posted yet. If you've ever done any of those things, you're certainly not alone. Millions of Americans depend on these monthly payments for essentials like rent, mortgage payments, groceries, medications, utility bills, transportation, and healthcare expenses. When you're living on a fixed income, timing matters almost as much as the amount itself. A payment arriving even 1 or 2 days later than expected can completely change your weekly budget. That's why today's discussion isn't just about dates on a calendar. It's about understanding how the Social Security system works so that unexpected changes don't immediately create unnecessary worry. Let's begin with SSI, because this is where much of the recent confusion has started. Supplemental security income follows one of the simplest payment schedules in the federal government. In most months, payments are issued on the first day of the month. If the first falls on a weekend or a federal holiday, beneficiaries generally receive their payment on the previous business day instead. That basic rule hasn't changed. It's been in place for years. Yet despite the schedule remaining largely the same, many beneficiaries have recently noticed differences in when certain adjustments appear on their accounts. So what's happening? The answer isn't that the government suddenly changed everyone's payment date. Instead, the processing of certain account updates has evolved. Think about it this way. Imagine your monthly benefit is like a train arriving at the same station every month. The train still follows the same route. It still arrives at roughly the same time. But if maintenance work happens along the tracks, small adjustments might affect exactly when the passengers board or how certain cargo is handled. The destination hasn't changed. The process behind the scenes has. Similarly, many recent Social Security updates involve administrative processing rather than changing the overall payment calendar. For example, if your income changes, if your living arrangements change, if a state supplement applies to your benefits, or if your eligibility information requires updating, those adjustments may now move through the system differently than they did in previous years. That doesn't necessarily mean you'll lose benefits. It doesn't automatically mean your payment amount will decrease. It simply means certain updates may appear on different processing timelines than beneficiaries have become accustomed to seeing. Unfortunately, many people interpret any unexpected timing difference as a sign that something has gone terribly wrong. That's understandable. After all, when you depend on a monthly benefit, uncertainty can be stressful. But understanding the difference between a processing adjustment and a benefit problem can make an enormous difference. Let's consider a simple example. Imagine you've received exactly the same SSI payment on the first of every month for several years. Then one month, your payment posts slightly differently because an administrative adjustment relating to income verification was processed. You log into your account. You notice something isn't exactly what you expected. Your first instinct might be panic. Has my benefit been reduced? Did I lose eligibility? Did someone steal my payment? In many situations, the answer is no. Often, it's simply the result of updated processing procedures working through the system. That's why checking your official Social Security account or waiting for an official notice is always far more reliable than assuming the worst based solely on a timing difference. Now let's shift our attention to SSDI because the payment schedule works very differently. Unlike SSI, Social Security disability insurance payments are generally based on your birth date. If your birthday falls between the 1st and the 10th day of the month, your payment is typically issued on the second Wednesday. If your birthday falls between the 11th and 20th, payments generally arrive on the third Wednesday. If you're born after the 20th, payments usually come on the fourth Wednesday. Many beneficiaries have followed this schedule for years without any issues. However, recent administrative updates can still affect how quickly account changes are reflected. Suppose you recently returned to work. Perhaps your earnings changed. Maybe you updated your direct deposit information. Or perhaps your disability review resulted in a benefit adjustment. Those kinds of changes may now take a different amount of processing time before appearing in your monthly payment. Again, this doesn't automatically indicate a problem. Administrative systems occasionally change how updates move through different departments. The important thing is recognizing that an adjustment to processing timelines isn't the same thing as losing eligibility. And that's a distinction many people understandably overlook. Another important point worth discussing involves beneficiaries receiving both SSI and SSDI simultaneously. Sometimes called concurrent beneficiaries, these individuals receive benefits from both programs because they meet eligibility requirements for each. Managing two different benefit schedules can already be confusing. One payment follows the SSI calendar. The other follows the SSDI birthday schedule. When administrative updates affect one program but not the other, it can temporarily create additional questions about why deposits don't appear exactly as expected. Fortunately, in some situations, newer processing methods are actually intended to reduce confusion over time by improving coordination between benefit systems. The transition period, however, can naturally create uncertainty until beneficiaries become familiar with the updated procedures. And that's exactly why staying informed is so valuable. Knowledge often reduces anxiety far more effectively than speculation ever could. Now, while payment schedules are certainly important, there's another issue developing at the same time that's even more concerning. Because while many people are focused on checking their bank accounts, someone else is counting on that distraction. Scammers. And the tactics they're using today are becoming more convincing than ever before. We'll explain exactly how these scams work, why veterans are being targeted so aggressively, and the simple warning signs that can help protect your personal information before it's too late. Now let's talk about the scam alert, because this is the part that has law enforcement agencies, veterans organizations, and cybersecurity experts urging people to pay closer attention than ever before. Over the past several months, scammers have become much more sophisticated. Years ago, fraudulent emails were often easy to spot. They contained obvious spelling mistakes. The formatting looked strange. The sender's email address was clearly fake. Many people could recognize those scams within seconds. Unfortunately, today's scams are different. Criminals now study official government websites. They copy agency logos. They imitate the language used in legitimate notices. Some even include payment reference numbers or official-looking claim numbers that appear completely believable. The goal isn't to fool everyone. The goal is simply to fool enough people. And sadly, that's exactly what's happening. One of the most common scams currently circulating targets veterans who also receive Social Security benefits. Think about that for a moment. If someone receives both VA benefits and Social Security, they already deal with two different government agencies. They may receive letters from both. They may log into different online accounts. They may receive legitimate notices throughout the year regarding healthcare, disability ratings, benefit adjustments, or direct deposit information. Scammers understand this. They know that someone managing benefits from multiple agencies may be less surprised when another official-looking email suddenly appears in their inbox. That's why many fraudulent emails now mention payment verification. Some claim there's a problem with your direct deposit. Others warn that your benefits could be delayed unless you confirm your personal information. A few even suggest your account requires immediate verification because of a recent rule change. Those messages are carefully designed to create one powerful emotion: urgency. Because when people feel rushed, they often stop thinking critically. Imagine waking up one morning and seeing an email with the words, "Immediate action required." The email displays what appears to be an official government logo. It references your benefit payment. It warns that your next deposit could be interrupted. Suddenly, your heart rate increases. You begin wondering whether your monthly income is at risk. That emotional reaction is exactly what scammers are hoping for. Instead of giving you time to think, they want you to react immediately. They want you clicking links before asking questions. They want you entering personal information before verifying who contacted you. But here's what makes these scams especially dangerous. They rarely ask for everything at once. Many people assume criminals immediately request their entire social security number, banking password, or credit card information. Sometimes they do, but increasingly, they don't. Instead, they begin with very small requests. Perhaps they ask you to confirm your mailing address. Maybe they request the last 4 digits of your social security number. Sometimes they simply ask whether you received a recent letter. That seems harmless. After all, those aren't complete financial details. But every answer you provide gives scammers another piece of the puzzle. More importantly, it confirms that a real person is actively reading the email. Once they know they've reached someone who responds, future attacks often become much more aggressive. That's why cybersecurity experts repeatedly give the same advice. Never assume an unexpected email is legitimate simply because it doesn't ask for sensitive information immediately. Many scams happen in stages. The first contact builds trust. The second gathers additional information. The third attempts financial theft. And by that point, victims often don't realize they've been manipulated step by step. So let's be absolutely clear about something important. Government agencies such as the Social Security Administration and the Department of Veterans Affairs do not typically send unsolicited emails asking you to verify personal information by clicking a link. If you ever receive an unexpected message claiming your benefits are at risk, stop. Take a breath. Do not click anything. Do not reply. Instead, visit the agency's official website by typing the address yourself into your browser. Or call the official customer service number you already know or can find on an official government website. Never rely on phone numbers or website links included inside suspicious emails. Those links often direct victims to fake websites that look nearly identical to official government pages. In fact, some fraudulent websites are so convincing that even experienced internet users have mistaken them for legitimate portals. The logos match. The colors match. The fonts look identical. Sometimes the only difference is one extra letter hidden inside the website address. That's why slowing down for just a few minutes before responding can prevent months, or even years, of financial headaches. Now here's something many people don't realize. Scammers don't only rely on email anymore. Some follow up with phone calls. Others send text messages. A few even leave voicemail messages claiming there's an urgent issue with your Social Security benefits. You might receive a text saying your direct deposit has failed, or a voicemail claiming your benefits are temporarily suspended until you verify your identity. Again, the objective is always the same. Create fear. Create urgency. Encourage immediate action. But remember this simple principle. Real government agencies generally provide multiple ways for you to verify information safely. Scammers want exactly the opposite. They pressure you to act immediately. They insist there's no time to wait. They discourage independent verification. Whenever someone tells you that you must act immediately or lose your benefits, that's the moment you should become even more cautious. Let's also talk briefly about direct deposit because this is another area where confusion sometimes creates unnecessary anxiety. Many beneficiaries worry that changing banks or updating account information will automatically delay future payments. In reality, official direct deposit updates usually follow established verification procedures. If you personally requested a banking change through your official Social Security or VA account, you'll typically receive confirmation through legitimate channels. However, if you receive an unexpected request asking you to update banking information that you never initiated, treat it with extreme caution. Ask yourself one simple question. Did I request this? If the answer is no, don't assume it's legitimate simply because it looks professional. Verify it independently. That one habit alone can prevent many forms of identity theft. Now let's connect everything we've discussed so far. At first glance, payment schedules and scam alerts might seem like completely separate topics, but they're actually closely related. Whenever Social Security updates administrative procedures, beneficiaries naturally begin checking their accounts more frequently. People expect letters. They expect notifications. They search online for explanations. Scammers know this. They understand that periods of uncertainty create opportunities. If someone notices their payment looks different and then immediately receives an email claiming to explain why, they're much more likely to believe it. That's exactly how many fraud attempts succeed. The payment update itself isn't the scam. The confusion surrounding the payment update creates the opening scammer's exploit. Understanding that connection gives you an important advantage. Instead of reacting emotionally to every unexpected message, you'll recognize that confusion itself is often part of the environment scammers rely on. And that awareness alone makes you a much harder target. In the next section, we'll cover exactly how to verify your payment status safely, what to do if your deposit doesn't arrive when expected, and the practical checklist every SSI, SSDI recipient, and veteran should follow before assuming there's a problem with their benefits. Now let's move into the practical side of all of this, because knowing that payment schedules can change or that scams exist is helpful, but knowing exactly what to do when something unexpected happens is what truly gives you peace of mind. Imagine it's your expected payment day. You wake up, make your morning coffee, open your banking app, and nothing. The deposit isn't there. Your first thought might be, did something happen to my benefits? In some situations, an overpayment recovery or a correction from a previous month may also influence what you receive. The important thing is not to jump to conclusions based on one deposit alone. Instead, compare the payment with any official notice you've received. Review your online account if available. If the numbers still don't make sense after checking official information, then contacting Social Security or the VA directly is the next logical step. Another question many people ask is, what if I recently changed my bank account? That's actually a very common situation. Perhaps your local bank closed. Maybe you switched to a different credit union. Or perhaps you wanted an account with lower fees. Whenever direct deposit information changes, it's important to make those updates only through official channels. After submitting the request, keep any confirmation you receive. Watch your next payment carefully to ensure it arrives correctly. If you notice anything unusual, contact the agency directly instead of responding to unexpected emails or phone calls claiming they need to fix your deposit. Remember, scammers often monitor news about benefit updates because they know many people are expecting legitimate communication. Now let's discuss concurrent beneficiaries, people who receive both SSI and SSDI. Managing two separate payment schedules can sometimes feel confusing. One payment may arrive at the beginning of the month. Another may arrive according to your birthday schedule. If one deposit appears before the other, it doesn't automatically mean the second payment has been delayed. They're often processed under completely different schedules. Understanding which payment belongs to which program helps avoid unnecessary concern. If you're ever unsure which deposit you're looking at, your online benefit account or official payment history can usually provide that clarification. Let's also touch on reporting changes because this is another area where many beneficiaries have questions. Certain life events should always be reported promptly. For example, changes in income, employment status, living arrangements, marital status, or household composition may affect SSI eligibility or payment calculations. Reporting those changes accurately and on time helps reduce the chance of future overpayments or unexpected adjustments. Many people worry that reporting a change automatically means losing benefits. That's not necessarily true. The purpose of reporting is simply to ensure your record reflects your current circumstances. Sometimes the payment stays exactly the same. Sometimes it changes slightly. Every situation is different, which is why official guidance is always more reliable than assumptions or advice shared on social media. Speaking of social media, let's address another growing problem: misinformation. Every time there's a new Social Security update, countless videos, posts, and headlines begin circulating online. Some claim everyone is getting a surprise payment. Others insist a new rule affects every beneficiary. Some even announce that benefits are ending altogether. The problem is that many of these claims leave out important context. A change affecting one specific group of beneficiaries suddenly gets presented as if it applies to everyone. A proposal being discussed becomes reported as though it's already law. A routine administrative adjustment gets described as a major overhaul of the entire Social Security system. That's why it's so important to separate headlines from facts. Whenever you hear about a major change, ask yourself a few simple questions. Does this apply specifically to SSI? Does it affect SSDI? Is it related to veterans' benefits? Is it an official rule that's already in effect? Or is it merely a proposal still being discussed? Those questions alone can prevent a great deal of unnecessary anxiety. Now, let's return briefly to veterans because this audience faces unique challenges. Many veterans receive benefits from both the VA and the Social Security Administration. Managing paperwork from multiple agencies can already be complicated. During periods when both agencies issue notices around the same time, it becomes even easier for fraudulent messages to blend in. One practical habit can make a tremendous difference. Instead of responding directly to emails or text messages, make it a routine to visit your official online account whenever you receive any unexpected communication. If the message is legitimate, you'll usually find matching information inside your secure account or receive confirmation through official channels. If nothing appears there, that's often a strong indication the message deserves additional scrutiny. Taking those extra few minutes may feel inconvenient, but compared to the time required to recover from identity theft or financial fraud, it's an investment well worth making. As we wrap up, there's one final point that deserves attention. Most changes involving Social Security and veterans' benefits are administrative, not emergencies. Most payment differences have reasonable explanations. Most beneficiaries continue receiving their benefits without interruption. The key is staying informed, verifying information through official sources, and refusing to let fear dictate your decisions. Because the people who stay calm, verify before acting, and rely on trusted information are almost always the ones who avoid unnecessary problems. And in today's environment, where both genuine updates and sophisticated scams are happening at the same time, that calm, informed approach may be the most valuable protection you have. If future updates affect payment schedules, SSI rules, SSDI processing, or veterans' benefits, you'll already know exactly what questions to ask, and, just as importantly, where to find the answers. Before we finish, let's leave you with a simple checklist you can remember every month whenever your benefit payment is due. First, know your normal payment schedule. If you receive SSI, remember that payments are generally scheduled for the first of the month. When the first falls on a weekend or federal holiday, the payment is typically issued on the previous business day. Knowing that basic rule alone can prevent a lot of unnecessary worry. If you receive SSDI, remember that your payment date is usually tied to your birthday. Once you know which Wednesday your payment normally arrives, you'll have a much better idea of what to expect each month. Second, always give your bank enough time to process deposits. Just because someone else says they received their payment at midnight doesn't mean your financial institution follows the same schedule. Some banks release government deposits earlier than others. A few hours difference doesn't automatically signal a problem. Third, keep your personal information up to date. If you move to a new address, change your phone number, switch banks, or experience another important life change, report it through the proper official channels. Keeping your records current helps ensure important notices reach you and reduces the chances of payment complications later. Fourth, review official letters carefully. Many people receive an envelope from Social Security or the Department of Veterans Affairs and assume it's routine, placing it aside to read later. Sometimes those letters contain important information about benefit reviews, payment adjustments, or requested documentation. Taking a few minutes to read official correspondence carefully can prevent much bigger problems down the road. Fifth, protect your identity every single day. Never share your Social Security number, banking information, Medicare number, passwords, or one-time verification codes with anyone who contacts you unexpectedly. It doesn't matter whether the message comes through email, text message, social media, or a phone call. If someone pressures you to act immediately, if they threaten to suspend your benefits, if they demand personal information before answering your questions, take that as a warning sign. Slow down. Hang up. Delete the message. Then contact the agency directly using the official phone number or website you already know is legitimate. One of the biggest advantages you have over scammers is time. Criminals want you to panic. Real government agencies want you to understand. That's a very important difference. Let's also talk about family members for just a moment. Many seniors manage their own finances very successfully, but others receive help from adult children, trusted relatives, caregivers, or close friends. If that's your situation, make sure everyone involved understands these scam warnings. Sometimes scammers don't target the beneficiary directly. Instead, they contact family members pretending they're calling on behalf of Social Security or the VA. Sharing what you've learned today with the people you trust creates another layer of protection around your benefits. If you know another retiree, a disabled family member, a veteran, or someone living on a fixed income, take a moment to tell them about these updates. You never know when a simple conversation could prevent someone from becoming the next victim of fraud. And remember something that's easy to forget. Government benefit programs are constantly evolving. Processing systems improve. Administrative procedures change. Technology continues to modernize. Most of these updates are designed to improve efficiency and accuracy over time. However, every change also creates new questions. That's perfectly normal. The important thing isn't trying to memorize every regulation. The important thing is knowing where to find reliable information when questions arise. Official government websites, your secure online account, verified customer service representatives. Those should always be your primary sources, not rumors on social media or alarming headlines designed to generate clicks. As we look ahead, it's likely we'll continue seeing updates involving Social Security services, online account security, payment processing, and identity protection. That's why staying informed remains one of the smartest financial habits you can develop. A few minutes spent reviewing accurate information today can save hours of frustration tomorrow. So, let's quickly recap everything we've covered. We discussed how the SSI payment schedule generally works and why some beneficiaries may notice differences in processing timelines without any change to their eligibility. We explained that SSDI payments still follow the familiar birthday-based schedule, while certain administrative adjustments may take longer to appear than they did previously. We talked about why payment timing differences don't automatically mean your benefits have been reduced or interrupted. Most importantly, we covered the growing wave of scams targeting Social Security recipients and veterans, emails, text messages, and phone calls designed to steal personal information by creating fear and urgency. The best protection is simple. Stay calm. Verify everything through official sources. Never click suspicious links. Never share sensitive information with someone who contacts you unexpectedly. And if something doesn't feel right, trust your instincts and verify it independently before taking any action. These small habits may seem simple, but together they form one of the strongest defenses against fraud while helping you navigate legitimate changes with confidence. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. We know these topics aren't always easy to follow, but our goal is to explain them in plain English so you can feel informed instead of overwhelmed. If you found today's update helpful, consider subscribing so you don't miss future updates on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, veterans benefits, Medicare, retirement news, and important government announcements that could affect your finances. And before you go, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a delayed Social Security payment, received a suspicious email claiming to be from the government, or had someone attempt to scam you? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story could help another viewer recognize the warning signs before it's too late. Thank you again for watching. Stay safe, take care of yourself and your loved ones, and we'll see you in the next video.